Hello, and welcome to the Coach's Cup podcast. I am Sonia Green from Sonia Green Coaching, and today I have special guest coach Andelin Price. Andelin is a relationship coach for women and for couples. So, Andelin, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, I am so happy to be here. I am a wife of more than 20 years. We have 6 children together. All of them are boys. From they range in age from 21 to 3.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have some of everything in our family, and I really love it. I got into coaching because I see people in their relationships struggling with the pressures of life and the belief systems that they've been handed that are no longer working. And I just want to help people to be able to live true to themselves and be able to make their marriage what it should be rather than what everybody else says it should be.
Yeah, this is a great topic. I've been excited to talk about it. So the title of the episode is How to Live a More Expansive Relationship. So tell us what you mean by that. What's an expansive relationship? What does that look like?
It looks like both people getting everything that they need and learning and growing themselves. The whole reason we're in relationships with other people is to grow ourselves. And the closer our relationships are, the harder it gets, because then you have 2 people who have different backgrounds and different desires and different lives. And they both have, sometimes those needs compete with each other. And it is expansive to be able to be creative in figuring out a way to make both people's needs met in whatever way that works for you. Every marriage is different. Every relationship is unique. And so the solution will also be equally unique. And a lot of times people say, well, it has to be done this way, or like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And that is constrictive to both parties and the relationship itself. And to break free from all of that and say, this is our marriage, this is what we need, and this is the way we're going to do it, expands you and it grows you and it makes your life so much more beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think having a relationship where where my husband and I, we think alike in a lot of areas. So, we have a lot of things that naturally just work together, but also being aware of each other's needs. You know, it's wonderful to have that kind of relationship as your foundation, because it really does, I think, leave a lot of room for growth for both of us. So,
For sure.
so how do you do that? How do you help couples to expand their relationships?
Well, one of the first things that I teach is um, a, a tool called the continuum. So imagine a spectrum. You have one end and you have the other end and the line in between. And at each end is scarcity or constriction or, whatever word you want to use. And in the middle is expansion. So let me give you an example. You'll have one partner sometimes who is self-sacrificing. So they're like always just giving up whatever they want, whatever they need for the children or for the husband or for the whatever. Like, oh, I like an example of this is women who just feel guilty buying a new pair of shoes because they don't absolutely need it. And the kids need shoes and there's money and, that's self-sacrifice. And on the other side is taking, or I call it indulgence, where one partner's like, well, I'm going to go do whatever I want because I know that my spouse will be there to pick up all the pieces, whatever, like husbands or wives. I mean, I sometimes use these terms, but it could be either way. And
Sure, absolutely.
they will like, I'm tired. I'm going to go just sit on the bed and let you finish putting the kids to bed and finish the cleaning up. And because I'm tired and I need this, and not really recognizing that the spouse is like also really tired and also really needs to rest and could really use some help. But the one isn't asking for help, and then the one isn't recognizing the need for help. And so they're on opposite ends of this spectrum. And in the middle of this self-sacrifice and taking spectrum is giving and receiving. So giving is the response, the other side of self-sacrifice. So I can say, listen, honey, I know you had a really rough day at work. Don't worry. I'll take care of the kids. I'll clean up after dinner. You just go take a rest because I know you need it. That is giving. It's not self-sacrifice, because recognizing that my husband really needs this and I'm choosing to take care of things, and there's no resentment in it. There's no like, well, he's not helping. I need this too.
Yeah.
And in the
Yeah, it's
other,
not the underhanded kind of, well, I'm going to take care of this because I'm the good wife.
yes, it's not out of
It's
obligation,
genuine. Yeah.
yet it's genuine. Or like, you know, I really wanted that pair of shoes and they're really cute, but I see that it's best for everybody if we use the money for this other thing for now. And maybe in the future, I'll be able to buy this pair or some other pair, but it's all about what's in your heart about it. It's not necessarily the action. And the other side of taking is receiving. So my husband will come to me sometimes and say, can I rub your feet? And sometimes I'd be like, oh, no, you don't have to. It's when someone's like, hey, can I help you? Oh, no, 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 I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
But receiving and saying, yes, please do. I had a friend reach out to me a few days ago and said, hey, how you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? And at first I had the reaction to say, no, it's good. I'm fine. Everything's good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, actually, there is something you can do for me. And I didn't need childcare for the next day, but it was nice to have. And I was like, yes, I thank you. And I received her offering. I received her gift. And she was happy to watch my 3-year-old while I went and did something. I could have brought him with me and it wouldn't have been a problem. But I was like, she's offering, I'm going to receive that offering.
Yeah.
And that's what receiving is. It's saying, and that's not obviously a marriage relationship, but all of these concepts can apply to any kind of relationship.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think as women, and I guess I can only speak for myself, but that's always an issue because we feel like we have the standard that we have to live up to. Oh, no, 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 I don't need that. You know, I remember when I had my first child, which was, you know, more than 23 years ago now, but my mom came to help and I couldn't rest. Like she would take him and tell me to rest, but I couldn't rest because I was too worried about the things that she was doing that I should be doing. And finally, you know, it hit me that I need to accept this. I need to receive this because she's
Yes.
doing it because she wants to, and I really need to take advantage of it. But
Yes.
we live at such a level, I know some of us especially, that it's hard to receive those things. So, yeah.
I think that's very culturally ingrained. This whole
Absolutely.
pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't need your help. I can do it all myself. That's very ingrained in our culture. I think about like in the United States anyway.
Yeah.
I think about the founding of our country, and that attitude was very much needed because you had a family out in the middle of nowhere, like providing their food for themselves day by day, and they needed that. That really helped them to be able to survive.
Yeah.
But we don't need to survive that way anymore.
No. No. So do you have a lot of women that you coach that you see that having trouble accepting that? Is that the side that women work on more?
Very often, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This whole idea of taking care of yourself,
Uh-huh.
taking care of yourself first. I hear that theme a lot in a lot of different places. But even myself, sometimes I catch myself going, oh, I don't need help. Wait a minute. Yes, I can accept help. If someone is truly offering,
Uh-huh.
and oh, I can tell when someone's like offering help, but they don't really want to give it. And they're sort of asking or offering out of obligation. You can tell
Yeah.
the difference between someone's like, well, you know, the people that you can ask to do anything, and you know they'll say yes no matter how busy they are, no matter what's going on for them. But
Mhm.
yes, from an obligation rather than I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
And you know the people who don't know how to say no.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm really careful actually to ask things of those people personally. And that's just my way of handling that, because I can't save them. I mean, I can help them if they want me to, but some people
Right.
aren't ready for that yet. But yeah, I do see that a lot in not only the people who I coach with, but also just my friends and people that I interact with.
Mhm. So what I hear you saying is that both sides have to really be open to being in this expansive middle.
Yes. It doesn't always start that way.
Mhm.
However, usually one spouse notices there's a problem before the
Mhm.
other one does. And it always amazes me how much power one spouse has to disrupt the pattern in the relationship. And so I started making changes in myself and started noticing I wasn't really happy. I had, you know, the house and the picket fence and the family and the husband who provided, and everything should have been really idyllic,
Mhm.
but I was not happy. And I knew something had to change, but I wasn't exactly sure what. And so I started reaching out. I started reading books. I started listening to podcasts. I started learning about relationships themselves and about myself. And I started advocating for myself. And I was able to instigate the changes. And now my husband is 100% on board.
Mhm.
He's like, oh yeah, this is real. It took me a while though for him to understand what was happening from my perspective,
Sure.
and him to see, oh, maybe our relationship isn't as equal as we thought, you
Mhm.
know. And we both we recognize that a lot of that is cultural, this idea that women are supposed to be a certain way and this is men's role. And we were like, yeah, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, and we lived our life that way for a really long time until it just was not going to work. I'm like, something has to change or I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. I think that we get to the point where we just can't do it another day before we realize that we can make changes. You
Yeah.
don't have to get to that point before um, making changes, but one spouse really does have the power to disrupt the pattern so that then it gets both partners working together and changing the way they relate to each other so that it is more workable for both people, so that both people's needs can be met.
So if we have somebody listening who's hearing this, and let's say it's a wife, it's a woman, and she's
Mhm.
thinking, I need to I need to take these first steps. I need to disrupt this pattern. What can she do? Because that's a scary place to be. Change, especially
Mhm.
in a relationship that's been moving down the tracks for so long, deviating from that can be scary.
It absolutely can. I was very afraid at first. I was like, what if he doesn't want to be with me anymore? Like
Yeah.
this could break our family. I
Yeah.
had to So the first thing is to say this could break my family, and to be comfortable with that, not saying that you want that or not saying that that's going to happen, but just to be able to um accept that if that happens, how am I going to treat myself? What am I going to say to myself? Um, and the other part of that is to look at yourself, look at your part, because every relationship is a co-creation.
Mhm.
Both people had a part in creating it. And the important thing is to start by looking at what you did to create the dynamic that you have.
Mhm.
And when you can look at your part of it, the good news is you have full control over your part of it. You have
Absolutely.
control over how reactive you get in an argument, or if you shut down, or if you ask for what you want, or how you ask for what you want. You have full control over all of that. And all of that makes a huge difference in a relationship dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. All right, what else any other tips that you can think of?
Yes, I believe that words matter. the words that we use carry an energetic frequency. And so the words that we use matter. So here's an example. I have stopped using the word compromise. Compromise means giving up something that you
Uh-huh.
need, and the other partner giving up something they need also.
Right.
I think this is a very scarcity word. There's just not enough for both of us. So now we have to choose who gets their needs met.
Yeah.
Very scarce word, in my opinion.
Oh no, I agree.
So instead of saying compromise, I say collaboration. We can collaborate. We can work this out. We can get creative, figure out a solution where both of our needs are met, because there's always enough for everybody's needs to be met. Another sacrifice is another word that a lot of people say, well, when you get married, you're just going to have to sacrifice a lot because marriage is hard. And that too means you're going to have to give up something that you need for your
Uh-huh.
partner. And I don't agree with that. But I do believe in giving. There are times that I give to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, again, the action of what you would call sacrifice and the action of giving could be very similar. But it's different in the fact it's different from, how do I
The
say?
attitude.
Yeah, it's where you're coming from. It's the
Yeah.
why behind it. And the same with taking and receiving. I think
Mm-hmm.
taking is kind of a harsh word.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people, and if you look at yourself, you can probably find a place in your relationship where you're taking.
Yeah.
And taking is different from receiving. Taking can be sort of demanding or passive aggression, or sometimes there's a little bit of dishonesty. Now, I will say that I was amazed how much dishonesty there was in my marriage, because I've always thought of myself as such an honest person. I don't lie. I really value honesty. But I realized I'm not speaking up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That is dishonest. I am not telling my husband what I'm actually thinking and what
Yeah.
I actually need and what I actually want. And that is a form of dishonesty. And
Yeah.
it's bad for me because
Yes.
I'm giving up what I need. And it's bad for him also because it's not helping him to know how to be with me in a way that is equal and fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that drains the energy
And
from
that
a person. It drains it from a relationship. I think we don't, men or women, don't realize how we have been socialized to be dishonest on the scale you're talking about, just not completely being forthcoming. We stuff things down,
yeah,
and it's so detrimental.
it
Yeah.
really is. And it keeps both of us from growing. Like
Yeah,
the more honest
absolutely.
you are, the more you grow
Yeah.
as a person and the more the relationship can grow.
Hmm.
So just keeping it to yourself and just not saying, obviously there are times when there's a time and a place for saying the things that you need
Sure.
to say,
And
but
away.
keeping it down and just ignoring it and trying to just hold it all in is actually bad for both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. As we're winding it down, is there anything else that you can think of? You've given such good advice. I do have to jump in and say the compromise word. I started laughing. My husband's an attorney. And so he always is talking about, the two sides coming to a compromise. And in his mind, what that means is that each side has given up something. Each side feels dissatisfied with the outcome. And I had never thought about that in terms of our personal relationships, but that's absolutely true, isn't it?
Yeah.
That and collaboration is the term that I use in teaching writing and teaching, a lot of the things that I have taught for the last 30 years. I love the word collaboration. And so you using those two really hit home for me.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that was a huge shift for me because
Hmm.
all my life I was told, well, in marriage, you have to compromise.
Yeah.
It was such a huge shift and it was so helpful for both of us.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Anything else?
um, just one more thing. It's hard to say, like I said, you can't really say this action is giving and this action is not, this action is receiving because it's so different.
Mhm.
But the way you know where you're at, if you're in expansion or if you're in constriction, if you're in the middle,
Yeah.
you'll feel love. you'll feel it in your heart, just this opening up. And if you're on one side or the other, or sometimes we switch from one side to the other, you'll be in fear. You'll be in an energy that just feels more closed off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically how you know, is by listening to your body, noticing your feelings.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, am I giving up something that I shouldn't be giving up here? Like, am I giving too much? Or, am I being indulgent? Your body will tell you the answer to that.
Oh, absolutely. I talk about that all day long. And it really is, in terms, for me, it's energy. If I feel
Mhm.
the energy being drained from me, if I feel tired, run down, then I know there's something that I need to check in, because
Mhm.
it's a negative on one side or the other.
Mhm.
Whether, like you said, whether it's maybe I'm taking too much, or
Mhm.
maybe, it's that other side where I am compromising too
Mhm.
much,
Yeah.
but it's definitely an energy thing, where if in everyday life, the way my husband and I work together, it's a very energy giving situation.
Mhm.
It's very life affirming, I
And
would
it
say.
feels so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And we don't even, we don't even talk about those things anymore. There are times when he comes in and cleans up the kitchen if that's what needs to be done. There's
Mhm.
times that, he veges out on the couch and I do it. And it's not, this is your night, this is my night. It's just who has the capacity to do it that day. If one
Mhm.
of us does, we step in and do it. It's not even a discussion.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So if we have women or couples out there who are looking for coaching, how can they find you?
Well, I mostly hang out on Instagram. I
Okay.
post there from time to time. I give tips and ideas and insights. Um, my website is under construction, but I can give you the website. It's andelinprice.com.
Okay.
But if they wanted to come and check me out on Instagram and just, hear more about what I'm all about, that would be great.
Okay. And is it just Andelin Price coaching, or what's your
Yes,
handle?
sorry. Yes, my Instagram is Andelin Price Coaching.
Okay. And that's Andelin, right?
Yes.
Price. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. And if you're looking for coaching from me, you can find me at soniagreencoaching.com, or on our Facebook page, the Coaches Cup Podcast Facebook page, where we love to see your comments and hear your own thoughts. How do you live your most expansive relationship? What do you bring to help your relationship be more expansive? All right. Thank you so much, Andelin.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll see you next week.